Hey everyone, it's Kong again with another episode of Should You Summon. As always, I'm going to be presenting high-level overviews to help you decide whether this banner is worth your hard-earned vouchers and crystals. Woo! So let's get right into this Rate Up banner featuring two women with explosive potential, Alpha and Suzette. The banner runs from April 28th till May 11th. As a Rate Up banner, you have a 40% chance to get each on-banner character, with the remaining 20% reserved for any other hero in the regular summoning pool. First up we have Alpha, naturally. Alpha technically has guard skills, but she's really more of a heavy bruiser. Her talent gives her boosted damage, and a damage reduction shield that swaps between physical and magical reduction each turn. Her 3-cost skill gives her 1 revive, all the way back to 100% HP, but it comes at the cost of shutting down her shield mechanic for the rest of the battle. The active component is a self-centered AoE explosion that does more damage when she has lower hit points. Her unique equipment, coming to global servers in late July, is a suit of body armor that gives her +1 mobility, and it doesn't eat up the accessory slot, so you could technically give her boots as well. This armor also reflects the same damage type as her currently active shield, so if her physical barrier is up and someone hits her with a physical attack, they'll take more reflect damage. It also gives her a +15% damage boost if she doesn't have an active barrier, which takes the sting out of using her revive, so it's pretty nice overall. She's a member of Dark Reincarnation, buffed by Bozel and Licorice, and Empire's Honor, buffed by Bernhardt, Leon, Lance, and Rosenseal. For bonds, she still doesn't roadblock anyone else's bonds, and it looks like it's probably going to stay that way unless they introduce some new Crystal Gizaroth creature, which is certainly possible. And she needs Epsilon for her own defensive bond, and the Transcender for her attack bond. For content, in PvE she's technically on faction for Leviar, Valkyrie, Fenrir, and Sleipnir, but I can't really see her doing anything useful in those fights, except maybe Valkyrie, I guess, where pretty much anyone will work as long as you have the right class rotation. For PvP, she doesn't have quite the range or disruptiveness of Autocrato, but she can be used in kind of a similar way in AoE rush teams. I wouldn't exactly call her a staple of this kind of strategy, but it's what she does, especially after getting even more mobility from her unique. She can run in, blow up, and maybe take 1 or 2 hits for your other threats in the meantime. For availability, Alpha is not appearing again on the upcoming banner schedule, which goes all the way up until at least September. Next up we have Suzette. Suzette specializes in long-range physical AoEs. Her 3C blasts a ring up to 5 spaces away with AoE damage, dealing fixed damage to affected enemies when they take their next action. Then at the start of the next turn, the targeted area is hit with a second blast of damage. This is a great way to disincentivize enemies from being on those tiles. She also has a teleport that causes AoE damage around her ally's landing position, and a 7-range line AoE that deals additional bonus damage to the furthest enemy. Her final interesting skill of note is a 1-cost speed reload skill that reduces all her own cooldowns by 4, and boosts her crit rate for a couple of turns. Her unique equipment is a weapon that lets her take a Legion of Glory faction buff, and it also lets you target your AoE skills on map tiles instead of requiring an actual targetable enemy. She's a member of Meteor Strike, buffed by Zerida and Epsilon, Langrisser Reincarnation, buffed by Ares and Hilda, and with her unique weapon she can take a buff for Legion of Glory from Ledin, Elwyn, or Grenier. Now it's important to note that this doesn't actually make her a member of that faction, so for content like Forbidden Battleground, if you're trying to win with a team of all Legion of Glory characters, putting Suzette in your lineup won't actually trigger that requirement. For bonds, she still doesn't roadblock anyone else's bonds, and she needs Mariel for her own defensive bond and Light of Genesis for her attack bond. For content, she's on faction for Scylla, Jormungandr, and Sleipnir, but she's probably not going to make a big splash against the big PvE bosses. In PvP, she can see some niche use as a kind of playmaker in AoE teams, with her teleport and her delayed AoE explosions giving her some zoning threats. For availability, Suzette is slated to return in September on her Destiny banner alongside Brenda and Sigma. Okay, let's move right along to the notes for Noobs. Alpha is an okay unit who becomes decently usable in PvP after her unique armor comes out. She's not a common unit, so if you're a 100% completionist collector, you might feel more pressured to pick her up, but since she doesn't unlock any bonds, there's no real rush to get her unless you plan to use her right away. Suzette is a niche AoE unit primarily meant for PvP. For general use, she's a pretty safe skip. Okay, so finally, just my usual reminder about upcoming banners. Throughout the rest of this month's cycle, we're going to get another chance to summon Illustrial, Cherie, and Roselia, Mariel, Patsir, and Werner Dime, and Altemuller, Ledden, and Rachel. Next week, we should also get a Build-A-Banner workshop for equipment. You can choose one piece of gear from each slot, not including the most recent set of gear that just launched, and you can reset your choices a couple of times. So if you get what you want, then you can go and change the accessory and hopefully summon something else. Gear banners are usually a whale trap, but being able to choose the best pieces of gear or target stuff you're missing makes it a lot more worthwhile. That said, the final important note on this front is that the next major update coming in mid-May should be the Valkyria Chronicles crossover featuring Alicia and Selvaria. So if you're a collector or a VC fan, you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on your stash of resources. Summoning for collab characters on a raid-up banner can be really rough. One final note before I close things off for this video. One piece of content that's making a return in this week's update is the Challengers Arena, or sometimes called the Fair Arena. And this is basically a little miniature PvP mode where the game supplies you with a certain number of pre-built characters, and everyone has to pick their teams from those supplied characters. And then there's an interesting little pick and ban phase, and then you basically have to get a certain number of wins to get certain rewards. Anyway, our old friend Leumas absolutely loves this mode, and he loves playing it, and he has mentioned that he'd be willing to boost other people's accounts to help them get the rewards in case they don't like playing PvP modes or whatever, for a nominal fee. So if that's something that might be interesting to you, then you can join the Discord that's linked in the description below this video. This Discord link doesn't actually go to the main Langrisser Discord. It's not technically my personal Discord because I never got behind the idea that every content creator needs to have their own personal Discord. But this one is for a small little community that I've been a part of for a long time, so I figured why not open it up and have some of my viewers come in there as well. Okay, so that's going to be it for this episode. Let me know in the comments if you're planning on summoning here, or if you're going to be saving up for the gear or the upcoming crossover. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next Should You Summon. Extra special thanks, of course, to our Langrisser tier channel members for generously supporting the channel directly. Shout out to Levitt, Derek Gunderson, Kate Soon, Jared Portela, Eden Seal, Jerome Meyer, and Shara Ilaimirius. And welcome to brand new supporter Harambe. Thanks so much for joining the congregation, and if anyone else out there is interested, click the join button for more details.